This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. It's Friday, September 13th, 2024. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris hold their first rallies since Tuesday night's presidential debate. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
New Orleans and other parts of Louisiana dealing with serious flooding as Francine moves east.
Springfield, Ohio, a city on edge following former President Trump's remarks in the debate. I'm Bob Brown. I'll have that story next.
A resolution introduced by congressional Democrats would make clear that U.S. emergency rooms need to provide emergency abortions. Norman Hall, Washington.
On Wall Street, the markets opened this morning with the S&P 500 index on a 4-day winning streak. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The father of a little boy killed in Ohio last year is urging Donald Trump and other Republicans to stop invoking his son's name. Sagar Magani, Washington.
All ahead on America in the Morning. Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump held their first rally since Tuesday night's debate in Philadelphia. And based on what was said by Trump, it doesn't sound like there's going to be another one. John Stolnis has the story from Washington.
Donald Trump in Tucson, Arizona, with a speech touting his ideas on improving the economy. The former president believes it was he who won the debate on Tuesday night.
As everyone saw 2 nights ago, we had a monumental victory over Comrade Kamala Harris in the presidential debate.
And because he believes he won, he said there will not be another debate between himself and the vice president.
She immediately called for a second debate, which means that she was like a prize fighter that lost a fight. We had 2 debates, though. I had a debate with crooked Joe Biden, right? And I had another debate with her. So because we've done 2 debates and because they were successful, there will be no third debate.
Harris, meanwhile, was in the battleground state of North Carolina, eager to debate the former president again.
2 nights ago, Donald Trump and I had our first debate, and I believe we owe it to the voters to have another debate because this election and what is at stake could not be more important.
Even though most political analysts believe Harris won their debate handily, she says she's not resting on her laurels.
Ours will be a very tight race until the end, okay? It's going to be a tight race until the end, and we are the underdog. Understand that. We are the underdog.
At the first of her 2 North Carolina rallies yesterday, Harris warned allowing Trump another term in the Oval Office could result in the loss of your health care.
Donald Trump intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You heard what he said in the debate. He has no plan to replace it. He said concepts of a plan.
While Trump promising to eliminate taxes on overtime in his speech.
They're police officers, nurses, factory workers, construction workers, truck drivers, and machine operators. It's time for the working man and woman to finally catch a break.
The Harris campaign says it took in $47 million in donations in the 24 hours following the debate. A Morning Consult poll conducted after the debate shows a small bump for Harris, up 1 point to a 5-point lead nationally over Trump, who will be holding a news conference later today from Los Angeles. Harris returns to Pennsylvania for a rally in Wilkes-Barre. John Stolnis, Washington.
Tropical system Francine still dumping rain on parts of the U.S. after causing water rescues and leaving damage in its wake in Louisiana. The storm made landfall in Terrebonne Parish as a Category 2 hurricane this week before weakening to a tropical storm. More than 10 million people are under flood alerts. Up to 8 inches of rain could fall in parts of the southeast. The White House says it's closely monitoring the impacts of Francine, working to provide federal assistance.
Before Francine made landfall, the president approved Governor Landry's of Louisiana's request for an emergency declaration.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre says that the federal government has stationed over 700 federal personnel in the state of Louisiana, where power outages were widespread. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy insisting that the help is on the way.
Whether it's in the form of public assistance, infrastructure repair, personal assistance.
The storm packing quite the punch, but residents in Louisiana had been preparing for the storm for a few days.
As of right now, have no reports of any storm-related fatalities, and we want to keep it that way.
Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry.
If you're going to work in one of those critical jobs, We ask that you drive slow and respect those that are on the roadway trying to put our services back.
Hundreds of thousands left in the dark as power crews still work to get the lights back on. Flooding has been reported at 350 structures in Louisiana's St. Charles Parish. In New Orleans, the story was the flooding after about 8 inches of rain fell in just a few hours there. Several dozen water rescues performed by emergency crews in that city and in neighboring parishes. The continued threat of rain now moving to the east, parts of Tennessee and Georgia, even the Florida Panhandle, in for a wet start to the weekend. There's continued fallout from comments made by the former president on the rumored eating of cats. Well, it's wreaking havoc on one town in Ohio. We'll have the latest when America in the Morning returns after this. Waking up on a Friday morning, hoping for fall temperatures. We're getting there across the United States. This weekend, though, in some parts of the U.S., the story will be the wet weather. LaTroy Thornton has our forecast.
As a disturbance centered in Saskatchewan, Canada, lifts more to the north than to the east through today, the associated cold front will struggle to advance eastward across the northern half or so of the Plain States. This feature is expected to produce what may turn out to be a band of organized thunder showers extending from central and eastern North Dakota into parts of South Dakota, as the central and especially the southern plains stay largely dry. The back edge of this storm does contain another fairly potent feature, though, and this lagging bit of disturbed weather is expected to bring showers to northwestern Montana, with periods of steadier rain even possible closer to the Canadian border. In the northwest, the next arriving storm brings showers later today across portions of Washington state. Outside of those areas, the rest of the West looks quite dry today, with mainly comfortable conditions from Oregon through Wyoming into much of Utah and California. Dry conditions also cover most of the area from Minnesota across the Great Lakes, the interior Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic states, and southern New England today. A storm brushing northern New England does pose the risk for some afternoon showers in that area, though even there, the coverage of such activity looks to be limited. Otherwise, Francine is now a tropical rainstorm that will continue to lose wind intensity today over northern Arkansas. The storm's slow northward motion will gradually come to an end as it loses more organization later today, but rainfall associated with this stalling feature continues through the weekend, with an inch or two of rain from far southeastern Missouri to Georgia and up to 8 inches of rain from northeastern Alabama into parts of northwestern Georgia. In Phoenix, sunshine brings typical mid-September heat with a high of 105. For Raleigh, North Carolina, look for a thunderstorm and a high of 79. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. More fallout from the presidential debate this week. Bob Brown reports that a bomb threat forced the closure of the city hall in Springfield, Ohio, related to rumors of pets going missing and the area's Haitian population.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
That remark by former President Trump during Tuesday's debate with Vice President Harris placing a bullseye in the back of Springfield, Ohio, population of nearly 60,000 people with an estimated 15,000 Haitians reportedly arriving in the city since 2020. Police receiving a bomb threat by email early Thursday morning at City Hall, forcing the evacuation and closure of the building and others as well, including the evacuation of an elementary school. Investigators say no devices were found. Meantime, Springfield's Mayor Rob Rue is saying there's no evidence Haitians have killed or eaten local wildlife or pets. Leaders in the city's Haitian community responding to Trump's comments.
Situation targeting the Haitian immigrants as eating pets or dogs. So we do not have that in our culture.
Police releasing a recording to ABC6 regarding a call phoned into the police department back in August.
I see a group of Haitian people. There was about 4 of them. They all had geese in their hand.
Before Tuesday's debate, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said he will increase law enforcement and funds for communities in Springfield being impacted by the surge of immigrants pouring into the city. I'm Bob Brown.
In Washington, congressional Democrats have pushed through a resolution that says hospitals have to provide emergency abortions, but will it have enough votes to pass? Correspondent Norman Hall reports.
A resolution introduced by congressional Democrats would make clear that U.S. emergency rooms need to provide emergency abortions when a woman's health or life is at risk, despite strict state abortion bans. Federal law requires that patients who show up at emergency rooms receive stabilizing treatment for medical emergencies. But legislators cited a report by the Associated Press that found that more than 100 pregnant women have been denied care since 2022. The resolution has little chance of passing a Republican-controlled House in an election year. Norman Hall, Washington.
There's a company raising prices while others are falling. Why and which one? We'll have Friday Business when America in the Morning returns after these messages. The Business Report brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments has a team of specialists in investing, financial planning, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger with Friday Business.
Wall Street opens this morning after another whipsaw, but winning day for stocks. The Nasdaq up 3% this week alone. The S&P 500 index on a 4-day winning streak. Gold with an intraday record yesterday, $2,583 an ounce. Kroger is the largest pure grocery chain in the U.S. It was out with solid quarterly results, but it's waiting for approval to buy the Albertsons chain. And CNBC's Sarah Evans asked Kroger's CEO about that.
You're fighting the FTC, which argues that the history of grocery mergers in this country is not great when it comes to results for consumers, store closures. I mean, you have made a lot of promises and now under oath that the customer prices will come down if you are able to merge.
We've made commitments that no stores will close as a result of the merger, and we did that on day one. What we will find is efficiencies that allow us to make those investments in the customer and for our associates. Becoming a national retailer will allow us to have scale to be able to compete against Walmart and Amazon and Costco.
Kroger CEO Rodney McMullen on CNBC with Sarah Eisen. Meantime, 2 inflation reports for August at the consumer and wholesale levels show deflation, including lots of groceries. Prices fell in August for so many things. Apples down 14%, potatoes down 6%, ham, roasted coffee, rice down 3%, gasoline down 10%, used cars down 10%. There is a big list at CNBC.com. Here comes the holiday hiring. Kohl's with a national hiring event next week. Lots of retailers and companies are posting seasonal positions.
So, Jessica, which one company is raising prices while all these other prices are falling?
It's Disney. It says no more sharing passwords for the Disney Plus streaming service. And after a little temporary discount, it is raising streaming prices.
Disney is cracking down on password sharing. Now, Disney is offering Disney Plus Basic with ads for $1.99 a month for 3 months. And this comes just after Disney announced that it is raising prices to $10 a month starting in October. Now, Disney is offering this cut price $2 a month plan just until the 27th of this month, pushing subscribers to lock in for 3 months before those price hikes go into effect.
CNBC's Julia Borston. On today's watch list, investors are hoping it's a lucky day on Wall Street on this Friday the 13th, the first of 2 this year. We get the latest on consumer sentiment, plus new in theaters, Lionsgate's thriller The Killer's Game, and Universal's Speak No Evil. Universal is a sister company to CNBC.
The father of a victim in a car crash in Ohio is pleading with politicians to stop using his son's death to demonize immigrants. We'll have details on that plea when America in the Morning returns after this. Russia sent a warning as Britain and the U.S. will meet in a White House summit today, with the discussion being Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin warned late last night that any agreement to supply Kyiv with longer-range missiles that could strike inside of Russia would be tantamount to NATO directly entering the war. Friday's White House summit represents the culmination of a week of intense diplomacy between the Western allies that included a U.S. delegation meeting inside Kyiv. Ukraine has been pleading with the U.S. and its allies to give them missiles capable of striking inside Kremlin borders, which comes as Iran has sent to Moscow missiles that have the range to hit anywhere inside Ukraine. The father of the victim in a car crash in Ohio is asking politicians to stop using his son's death to demonize immigrants. Correspondent Sagar Magani reports.
Please stop the hate.
Trump's campaign and others, including running mate J.D. Vance, have cited 11-year-old Aiden Clark's death in online posts bashing Haitian immigrants. Nathan Clark told a Springfield City Council hearing Tuesday his son should not be used as a political tool. That was the same day Trump repeated false claims during the presidential debate about Haitian immigrants in the town eating pets. Clark says Republicans can vomit all the hate they want about illegal immigrants.
However, they are not allowed, nor have they ever been allowed to mention Aiden Clark from Springfield, Ohio.
Saying his 11-year-old son liked to work in the garden and research different cultures so he could better understand people with whom he interacted.
I said to Aiden that I would try to make a difference in his honor. This is it. Live like Aiden.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
America in the Morning for Friday, September 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and this is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout. Here's what's coming up this half hour. More destruction as wildfires rage in Southern California.
Attorney General Merrick Garland is bashing growing threats against the Justice Department. Sagar Magani, Washington.
In North Dakota, a ban on abortion has been struck down in a ruling by State District Judge Bruce Romanek. I'm Jennifer King.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams accepts the resignation of his police commissioner, Edward Caban. I'm Sue Aller.
The Justice Department is preparing criminal charges in an Iran hack targeting the Trump campaign. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Disgraced ex-movie mogul Harvey Weinstein has been indicted on additional sex crimes charges. I'm Heya Panjwani.
We'll be right back. The weekend on the horizon as we get going on this Friday across the United States, and we're inching closer to fall. So when's it going to start to feel like it? LaTroy Thornton has our forecast.
The area of active weather associated with what was once Hurricane Francine will continue to track slowly toward the Arkansas-Missouri border through the day today as the storm continues to lose organization. The center of this tropical rainstorm is not expected to reach the border before falling apart later today over northern Arkansas. This means that even though gusty winds will become less and less of a player in the overall weather picture, rain impacts will continue in the south. As the storm stalls out over the south through the weekend, widespread additional rainfall of 1 to 2 inches can occur from southeastern Missouri through Georgia, and the greatest rainfall of 4 to 8 inches is expected from northeastern Alabama into north central Georgia through Sunday. Elsewhere in the country, many places will again be dry, but a separate piece of energy can produce showers and thunderstorms across the Carolinas, especially toward the coast, with additional storms over much of Florida. Well to the north of there, a fast-moving storm can bring some widely separated afternoon showers to northern New England, with yet another day of sunshine and rain-free conditions from New York State through the mid-Atlantic and even the upper Midwest. To the west of there, a cold front makes only slow progress across the northern and central plains today, with the risk for some thunder showers confined to central and eastern parts of the Dakotas, as most places from Nebraska to Texas miss out on precipitation. However, a storm lingering behind the cold front can again spark active weather, leading to showers and areas of steadier rain for northern Montana, as yet another disturbance brings showers to northwestern Washington later today. The rest of the western United States should have a mainly dry Friday to end the work week. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember to follow us everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. 3 major wildfires continue to burn in Southern California this morning. The devastation is growing there. The office of the state's governor posting on social media emotional testimony from homeowners who've lost everything.
I had a neighbor who called me and said, your house is engulfed in flames. And I said, oh my God, it happened that fast.
Similar accounts across the greater LA area as the bridge fire, the line fire, and the airport fire still burn. Earlier this week, a man arrested, charged with arson in connection to the line fire. Human ignition of wildfires in California on the rise.
So this ranges from negligence to arson to utility power lines.
State Fire Marshal Chief Daniel Berlant says another contributor is growth.
From 2010 to 2020, California's population grew by nearly 6%. That's over 2.4 million people, more people, bringing California over to 39 million people within our state. And well over 11 million of those people live within the wildland-urban interface.
The bridge fire, about 90 miles outside of L.A., has destroyed at least a dozen homes. The airport fires burned more than 35 square miles. It's about 5% contained, and the line fires threatening tens of thousands of homes and businesses still in the San Bernardino area. It's about 20% contained. CAL FIRE says no deaths have been attributed to the string of fires, but at least 15 people, including firefighters, have had injuries. Merrick Garland announcing increasing threats against the Justice Department. Washington correspondent Sagar Magani reports the Attorney General says he won't let the DOJ be used as a political weapon now or in the future.
This provision of the principles ends with an admonition, quote, federal prosecutors and agents may never make a decision regarding an investigation or prosecution for the purpose of affecting any election or the purpose of giving an advantage or disadvantage to any candidate or political party.
Attorney General Merrick Garland is bashing growing threats against the Justice Department.
Our norms are a promise that we will not allow this department to be used as a political weapon.
In a forceful and at times emotional speech to department employees, Garland said they faced everything from conspiracy theories to threats of violence.
Through your work, you have made clear that the Justice Department will not be intimidated by these attacks. But it is dangerous and outrageous that you have to endure them.
Garland's remarks came amid GOP claims the Biden administration has weaponized the Justice Department to go after Donald Trump.
In short, we must treat like cases alike. There is not one rule for friends and another for foes, one rule for the powerful and another for the powerless, one rule for the rich and another for the poor, one rule for Democrats and another for Republicans, or different rules depending on one's race or ethnicity. To the contrary, we have only one rule. We follow the facts and apply the law in a way that respects the Constitution and protects civil liberties.
The Attorney General says department employees have made clear they do not bend to politics.
And that they will not break under pressure.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
A judge has ruled on a decision that'll impact North Dakota's relatively strict abortion ban. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
In North Dakota, a ban on abortion has been struck down in a ruling by State District Judge Bruce Romanek. In response to the state's request to dismiss a 2022 lawsuit filed against the ban, he writes that the law violates the state constitution, was too vague, and infringes on a woman's fundamental right to procreative autonomy. Republican officials are expected to appeal. While abortion becomes legal under the order, North Dakota no longer has any clinics performing the procedure. The owner of the Red River Women's Clinic, the sole provider for 2 decades, moved the facility from Fargo 2 miles to Moorhead, Minnesota, as the likelihood that the Supreme Court would overturn Roe v. Wade became apparent. Red River filed the original 2022 lawsuit that challenged the state's now repealed trigger ban. I'm Jennifer King.
There's new information surfacing about what may have led to the Baltimore bridge collapse that caused the deaths of construction workers and paralyzed the Port of Baltimore for weeks. Lisa Dwyer reports.
New documents released by the National Transportation Safety Board say investigators discovered a loose cable that could have caused electrical issues on the Dolly, a massive cargo ship that lost power and crashed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge. When disconnected, the problematic cable triggered an electrical blackout on the ship, similar to what happened as it approached the bridge on March 26th. The ship was leaving Baltimore bound for Sri Lanka when its steering failed because of the power loss. Safety investigators released a preliminary report earlier this year that documented a series of power issues on the ship before and after its departure from Baltimore. A final analysis is expected in the board's final report. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The leader of the police department in America's biggest city is stepping down. We'll tell you why when America in the Morning returns after this. The top cop in the country's largest city has abruptly resigned his position after the FBI confiscated his cell phone. It's part of a sweeping investigation into some of the members of New York City Mayor Eric Adams' administration. Details this morning from Sue Aller in New York.
Under a cloud of scrutiny, the first Latino to ever serve as New York City's police commissioner has stepped down. Thursday, Mayor Eric Adams accepted Edward Caban's resignation.
He concluded that this is the best decision at this time. I respect his decision and I wish him well.
This comes about a week after federal agents raided his home. The investigation involves the NYPD's nightclub enforcement, which led to the seizure of Caban's cell phone and other electronics. Caban stated that the ongoing investigation has become a distraction for the department, prompting his decision to leave. Mayor Adams praised Caban's time while serving as commissioner.
Commissioner Caban dedicated his life to making our city safer, and we saw a drop in crime for 13 of the 14 months he served as commissioner.
Other elite members of Mayor Adams' inner circle are also being investigated. Caban has not yet been charged with a crime. The mayor appointed former FBI agent and former New York Homeland Security Director Tom Donlon as interim commissioner. In New York, I'm Sue Aller.
Across the nation, in California, a state that's been dealing with wildfires now has the earth moving under their feet. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports on an earthquake with dozens of aftershocks rattling the LA area.
The U.S. Geological Survey says the preliminary magnitude is 4.7. The quake was centered 4 miles north of Malibu.
We feel like everybody is safe, no material damage. I'm sure there's some cracks and things that people are going to find.
Malibu Mayor Doug Stewart on KABC-TV says he and his wife felt it.
Morning coffee spilled on the kitchen table. I'm about 2 or 3 miles away from where the earthquake epicenter is, and the earthquake alert came on almost as soon as I felt the shock.
So did celebrities Paris Hilton and Khloe Kardashian, who posted on social media. Video shows boulders falling onto a roadway in Malibu and the historic Santa Monica Pier visibly shaking. I'm Jackie Quinn.
The Department of Justice preparing to go after a Middle East nation for a cyber attack hacking the campaign of former President Donald Trump. The details from correspondent Ed Donahue.
It's not clear what the charges will be or who is being targeted, but sources tell the AP it's the result of an FBI investigation into an intrusion that investigators quickly linked to an effort in Iran to influence this year's presidential election. Assistant Attorney General Matthew Olson said in a speech in New York, Iran perceives this year's elections to be particularly consequential in impacting its national security interest, increasing Tehran's inclination to try to shape the outcome. The Trump campaign disclosed last month it had been hacked and said Iranian actors stole and distributed sensitive internal documents. They were sent to Politico, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. Details of what was received were not revealed. Ed Donahue, Washington.
A judge dismissed 2 criminal counts in the Georgia 2020 interference case against former President Donald Trump and 1 other count against allies of the former president. Fulton County Judge Scott McAfee ruled that Georgia prosecutors had no authority to bring the charges, which were tied to alleged filing of false documents in federal court. Now, Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis had charged Trump related to alleged 2020 election interference. Trump pleaded not guilty to all counts in that case. The Georgia Court of Appeals said it would hear Trump's argument to have Willis disqualified on December 5th, a month after the 2024 presidential election. A judge ruled that an election machine maker's lawsuit against a conservative news channel can proceed to trial. Correspondent Norman Hull reports.
A defamation lawsuit filed by electronic voting machine manufacturer Smartmatic against conservative news outlet Newsmax may proceed to trial, so says a Delaware judge. Smartmatic alleges that Newsmax host and guests made false and defamatory statements after the election, implying that Smartmatic participating in rigging the results and that its software was used to switch votes. Newsmax argued that it was simply reporting on serious and newsworthy allegations being made by Donald Trump and his supporters, including former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani and conservative attorney Sidney Powell. The trial is scheduled to begin September 30th. I'm Norman Hall.
A hacker has found a way to get AI to provide instructions on how to make dangerous explosives, despite safeguards that are designed to prevent that from happening. Here's Chuck Palm with today's tech news.
According to an article on TechCrunch, ChatGPT has been tricked into giving instructions on how to make homemade fertilizer bombs. If you ask OpenAI's ChatGPT directly on how to make anything dangerous, it will reply with the standard response, "I can't assist with that. Providing instructions on how to create dangerous or illegal items goes against safety guidelines and ethical responsibilities." However, a hacker has found a way to trick ChatGPT to ignore its programming and provide detailed instructions on how to make a bomb. The hacker was able to provide instructions telling the bot to play a game, thereby getting around its guardrails. Once the AI believed it was simply a game it was providing instructions for, it gave all the details necessary, including instructions to create mines, traps, or improvised explosives. According to the TechCrunch article, OpenAI has yet to respond to inquiries. Clearly, there is still more work to do. For more tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
Robert Workman has sports.
NFL Week 2 kicked off last night as the Bills blew by the Dolphins 31-10. James Cook ran for 2 touchdowns and caught another from Josh Allen.
Awesome. Hat trick. He's been working hard. Each year he's gotten better. Seems like each week he's getting more comfortable and confident.
Meantime, Miami's Tua Tagovailoa threw 3 interceptions, including a pick 6, before leaving with a concussion in the third quarter. That has led to numerous calls from current and former players for Tua to retire. This is the 3rd confirmed concussion he's suffered since 2022. Baseball, the Yankees tipped the Red Sox 2-1 on Juan Soto's leadoff single in the bottom of the 10th. That plated the ghost runner. New York has the top record in the American League. Rays ripped the Central Division leading Guardians. Astros broke open a tie game with a 4-run 8th and beat the A's. Houston closing in on the AL West crown. Rangers rally past the Mariners. World Series MVP Corey Seager will miss the rest of the season after undergoing sports hernia surgery on his right side today. He had a similar procedure last winter on his left side, but still managed to hit 30 homers this year. Rockies came back to tame the Tigers. Brewers blanked the Giants. Frankie Montas and the Blue Eyes combined on a 5-hitter. The Crew's magic number in the NL Central is down to 8. Cardinals rose past the Reds, and the Marlins topped the Nationals. And the Pac-12 is set to rise again. The former Power 5 conference that was whittled down to 2 schools accepted applications on Thursday from 4 Mountain West colleges: Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, and San Diego State. As it stands, they would join Oregon State and Washington State for the 2026-2027 academic year. At least 2 more teams must be added to meet the NCAA minimum of 8 schools. That's Friday Sports.
A popular remake hits theaters this weekend. We'll tell you which one when America in the Morning returns. Don't go anywhere. He started his week being rushed from his New York City prison cell to a hospital for an emergency heart procedure. Now, as correspondent Haya Panjwani reports, disgraced movie mogul Harvey Weinstein will head to court facing new charges.
Assistant District Attorney Nicole Blumberg disclosed in court that the indictment charges Weinstein with additional crimes and that multiple accusers are prepared to testify against him. Weinstein, who is 72, is recovering from emergency heart surgery at a Manhattan hospital to remove fluid on his heart and lungs. Prosecutors retrying Weinstein's overturned rape conviction disclosed that they had begun presenting to a grand jury evidence of up to 3 additional allegations against Weinstein dating back as far as the mid-2000s. In April, New York's highest court overturned Weinstein's 2020 conviction on rape and sexual assault charges involving 2 women and ordered a retrial. Weinstein's retrial is tentatively scheduled to begin November 12th. I'm Haya Panjwani.
A remake of a Danish thriller is hitting theaters this weekend. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek at Speak No Evil.
Hollywood's remake for this week offers a new presentation of a Danish thriller from 2 years ago.
You have to come and visit us. The West Country, really, it's beautiful. Yeah, that'd be great.
Speak No Evil follows an American family who befriends a couple while on vacation in Italy. Weeks later, they accept an invitation to visit the couple at their out-of-the-way farmhouse. However, warning signs begin to mount and the family realizes they might never escape.
I'm just sad to see you go.
The film is competently made with a healthy dose of suspense and atmosphere, and acting from James McAvoy as one of the antagonists is unsettling and nuanced.
I know we can both be
a bit much.
However, this family in danger comprises some of the most insufferable and clueless people imaginable. I mean, it's like a whole family of Skylers from Breaking Bad.
What is wrong with you? I want to back up the car, and I want to leave now.
Even if the trailers weren't so loaded with spoilers that you could walk in on the third act and still be able to predict what happens next, the action retreads so many other similar films it just feels stale.
I've always wanted a family like yours.
Mom, something's not right with him.
No! I love a good thriller, and there is one hiding in this movie. But to fully enjoy it, you kind of have to have never seen a movie like it before.
You guys have been...
Just a breath of fresh air. Oh, well, that is very sweet of you to say.
Speak No Evil gets 2 creepy couples out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
America in the Morning for Friday, September 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm Clayton Neville in for John Trout, and this is Westwood One.